Happy, this would be Wednesday. Okay, today we are doing the information that you need to complete the lab over the next couple of days. So obviously you've probably already gone to Canvas, you've gone to Earth Science, you've gone to assignments, you've gone to 3-3, 2020 or 2021, and you've already opened up the notes. Hopefully you have already opened up the notes. Since you're virtual, you don't have to wait for me to finish attendance. Weather stations are used all over the world, and they record all of this information. If you look at this, this is a lot of information, and it's gathered by weather stations. We've talked about this before. The thing is that this information is reported every hour from every station all over the world, which means that there is tons and tons of data coming in all the time. And they needed to find a way that they could record this large amount of data and put it in small spaces where it could be easily accessed and easily read. So meteorologists all got together and they developed and organized in a standard way to represent this data. I want you to notice that on this station model, there are no units. You will not find feet, inches, miles. You won't find degrees. You won't find any of those on here. Instead, what they use are different symbols like this asterisk and this flag and this circle and all of that to represent everything that you need to know in a model. So what you're going to be doing for the lab is you're going to learn how to encode and decode all of this information in a station model, and you're going to do a lab over it. So I hope you're paying attention today, and I hope you're understanding. If not, I will be available from probably about 2:30 today to 4 o'clock today. And then tomorrow I will again get on after school from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock for you virtual kids. And I will be available if you are here at school. I'll be available during your period to kind of help you with your lab. So the first thing we're going to start with is barometric pressure. It's going to be found in the upper right-hand corner. If you look at this station model explanation, it has everything that you're going to be doing. And you notice that barometric pressure is always in the upper right-hand corner. That's where you are always going to find it on every station. That's where you have to put it when you do the stations. If the barometric pressure is actually 1013.7 millibars, notice that this is only 3 numbers. Well, how do you get from this to this? It's very easy. You drop the decimal point, making it 10,137. Then you report only the last 3 digits, so 137. So if I had 989.6 millibars, I would drop that decimal point, making it 9,896, and I would report the last 3 digits of 896. Now I want you to take a minute and I want you to do this one by yourself and see if you come up with the correct answer. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds. Okay, you should have dropped the decimal point, making it 10,227, and then you report the last 3, which would be 227. Try another one. drop the decimal point, report the last three numbers, 980. If you didn't get those right, review, because you're going to have to do that. Now we have to go the other way. What if I have this number, but I want to know what the actual reading is? In that case, you have to ask yourself a question. Is this number less than or greater than 500? If it is greater than 500, you put a 9 in front of the number and put a decimal point in front of the last number. So, 627, that's greater than 5. So I'm going to put a 9 in front of it, making it 9,627. And then I put the decimal point in front of the last number. So the actual pressure is 962.7 millibars. Well, that's great, but Mrs. Skipper, what if it's less than 500? Well, if it's less than 500, you put a 10 in front of the number and put a decimal point in front of the last number. So 391, that is less than 500. So I put a 10 in front of it and I get 10,391. Then I put the decimal point in front of the last number. So the actual barometric reading would be 1,039.1 millibars. So again, I'm going to give you a minute to try these. Probably not a minute, probably 10 seconds. Here you go. Okay, ask yourself, is this greater than or less than 500? It's less than. So I put a 10 in front of it and I put the decimal in front of the last number. So 1,019.6 millibars. What about this one? $943 is greater than 500. So I put a 9 in front of it and put the decimal point in front of the 3. So I get 994.3 millibars. This middle section right here is called the barometric trend. It lets you know what the barometer is doing compared to past pressure. And when it says past pressure, it means 3 hours ago. So you're going to have three things. You're going to have a plus or a minus. You're going to have a number. And then you're going to have either a forward slash, a backward slash, or another what looks like minus sign. Or sometimes they try to trick you a little bit and they'll leave that blank. We'll explain that in just a minute. A plus sign means that the pressure right now is higher than it was 3 hours ago. This number, remember, you always have to put a decimal point in between the last number and the number before it if you're talking barometric pressure. So this would be 3.4 millibars higher than 3 hours ago. Don't forget, you have to put that decimal point in there. This is a forward slash. And the way that I remember what that means is I look at what it does from left to right. If I look at this from the left to the right, this is going up. So that means that the barometric pressure is rising. And you will use three words there. You will either say rising, falling, or steady. Okay, so if it's going up from left to right, then it's rising. If you have a minus on the left-hand side or a dash on the left-hand side, then that means that the pressure is lower than it was 3 hours ago. That 227 means that it is lower by 2.7 millibars. Don't forget to put your decimal in. And look, from left to right, it's going down. So that means that the barometer is falling currently. Now we've already done part of this. The minus here means that it is lower than it was 3 hours ago. 31 means that it is 3.1 millibars lower. And look what it's doing from left to right. It's staying the same. That means that it's holding steady. Sometimes they will try to trick you a little bit on this, and they will leave this blank. So if it's blank or has a minus, both of those mean it's holding steady. It's just staying the same. Temperature and dew point. Temperature is always going to be found in the upper left-hand corner. Dew point is always going to be in the lower left-hand corner. Temperature, upper left-hand corner, and look, this tells you temperature, upper left-hand corner, dew point, lower left-hand corner. And they will always be reported in the United States, they will always be reported in Fahrenheit. Wind direction is where the wind comes from. You must know your cardinal directions. So let me help you remember. North is going to be straight up. East is going to be to your right. South is going to be straight down. West is going to be to your left. To help you remember, never eat soggy waffles. North, never. Eat, east. Soggy, south. Waffles, west. North, east, south, west. Remember that almost always on a map, north will be straight up. South will be straight down. East will be to the right. West will be to the left. Well, Mrs. Skipper, what about this one? It's not pointing west and it's not pointing south. It's kind of in between. Well, that means it is southwest. Okay? The stick is always going to point where the wind comes from. So in this case, the wind is coming from the southwest. The little flags or feathers that are coming off of the stick is going to tell you the wind speed. A short flag is going to be 5 knots. We measure wind speed in knots. 1 knot is about 1.2 miles per hour. A short flag is going to be 5 knots. A long flag or feather is going to be 10 knots. So if I'm looking at this one, it has 1 long one and 1 short one. So it has 10 plus 5, it's going 15 knots. So long flag 10 knots, short flag 5 knots. Sometimes if the wind is really, really, really strong, they will give you a triangle, and that is 50 knots. Cloud cover is just that. It's how much the clouds are covering the sky, and it's done by percentages. You draw a circle, and you fill in the percent of that circle that is cloud. The clouds are covering the sky. So if there are no clouds that day, if there are 0% cloud cover, you don't fill it in. You just draw the circle. If it is 25% cloud cover, you fill in 1/4 of the circle. If it's 50%, you fill in half the circle. Doesn't matter which side. If it's 75%, you fill in 3/4 of the circle. And if it's 100%, you color the whole circle in. Now, here's the trick too. Sometimes they will try to trick you up just a little bit, and they will say that it is overcast. Overcast and 100% mean exactly the same thing. You will not have to use the X or the M for this activity, but in case you want to know, an X in a circle means that they can't see the clouds. The vision is obscured for some reason. They can't see, so they can't see what the cloud cover is like. M is when they just don't report anything for the cloud cover, so the data is missing. Precipitation. What kind of water is coming out of the sky? They use a whole lot of different symbols because there's a whole lot of different kinds of precipitation. I think the ones that you're going to have to worry about are light fog, which has two dash marks or two lines parallel to each other going horizontally. That means fog. One dot is light rain or slight rain. Then that goes clear up. If you look, that goes clear up to 4 dots that are in a diamond shape. That means it is really raining hard and continuously. The only one I think that you have to use is the 1 dot. You may need to know what a comma is. A comma, it's what it looks like, is a comma, is drizzle. You're going to need to know snow, which isn't kind of looks like an asterisk. And sometimes they will combine symbols. So instead of just putting an asterisk, they might put an asterisk over this upside down triangle. The upside down triangle means showers. So if you have asterisk over it, that means snow showers. If they put a dot above it, that means rain showers. Kind of makes sense. So now we're going to practice real quick. And we're going to look at trying to find all of this information. Wind direction. That means I'm going to look for that flag, right? And look, the flag is pointing this way. Well, this is north, and this is east, and this is halfway in between them. So this is northeast. Wind speed. There are 2 full flags or whole feathers. So you go 10, 20 knots. Temperature. Upper left-hand corner is where the temperature will always be. So that is 45 degrees Fahrenheit. By the way, if you don't know how to do a degree symbol on your keyboard, you can hold down Control and period, then let up, type a 0, and then do Control period again. And that should give you the degree symbol. Don't forget, it has to have degrees Fahrenheit. Dew point is always going to be where? Oh, look, it says dew point, bottom left. So bottom left. So the dew point for this would be 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Barometric reading, upper right-hand corner, 973. That means it's more than 500, so I put a 9 in front of it, put the decimal point here, and my barometric reading is 997.3 millibars. Barometric reading higher or lower than 3 hours ago. I look right here, there's a minus, so that means that it's lower than 3 hours ago. So what was the barometric reading 3 hours ago? This is where the tricky part comes. This is probably the hardest part of all of it, because you're going to take this number that you just did, 997.3, and it has changed by 2.9. It's gone down by 2.9. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to subtract, but that's not what you do to find out what it was 3 hours ago. You have to do the opposite of what it tells you to here. So you're actually going to add 2.9 to 997.3. Okay? And when you do that, you get 1000.2. If you don't understand how you got that, you need to stop and review what I just said. The barometer is now falling. If you look, it goes down from left to right, so it's falling. The present weather, if you look right here, remember I said the dot over the triangle means rain showers. Cloud cover, how much of this circle is covered? It would help if Mrs. Skipper could talk. How much of this circle is colored in? Well, all of it is colored in, so 100%. So you could either say that we have 100% cloud cover, or you could say that it is overcast. Visibility, center left, 1.5. We're in the United States, so we always measure in miles. So it's 1.5 miles. And how much precipitation has fallen in the last 6 hours? Lower right. And if you think about this, you know how we measure this, because if we say, well, how much snow has accumulated? Everybody goes, well, it was this many inches. So you know we measure this in inches. So it is 0.53 inches. Okay. What about this one? Wind direction. North, west, northwest. Wind speed. Large flag, small flag. 10, 15. 15 knots. Temperature, upper left, 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Dew point, lower left, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Barometric reading, oh, here we go again, 199, that's less than 500, so I put a 10 in front of it, and I put a decimal point between the nines. So the barometric reading would be 1019.9 millibars. Is it higher or lower than it was 3 hours ago? It's higher. What was the reading 3 hours ago? Remember, you have to put a decimal between this. So you go 1019.9 minus, remember you have to do the opposite of what it says here, 3.1. So you would get 1016.8 millibars. What's the barometer doing now? From left to right, it's going up, so it's rising. What's the present weather? Oh, Mrs. Skipper, they're trying to trick me here. There is nothing there. So that means we are having no precipitation, and that's exactly what you would write. No precipitation. What's the cloud cover? Well, how much of that circle is colored in? None of it. So 0% cloud cover. Visibility, 8 miles. Precipitation in the last 6 hours, 0.03 inches. Okay, last one that we're going to do together. Wind direction, northwest. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Northeast. See, even teachers make mistakes. Wind speed. I've got 1 full length, I've got 2 full length, I've got 1/2. So 10, 25, 25 knots. Temperature, upper right or upper left, 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Dew point, lower left, 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Barometric reading, 96. That's less than 500. So I put a 10 in front of it and I put the decimal after the 6. 1009.6 millibars. Higher or lower? There's that negative sign, so it's lower. What was the reading 3 hours ago? Remember, I have to put a decimal point here. Remember that I have to do the opposite. So I'm going to add 0.6 to 1009.6. And I'm going to get 1010.2 millibars. What's it doing right now? Well, there's nothing there. Remember, I said if it was a dash or if there's nothing there, that means it's steady. It's not doing anything. Present weather. Oop, I got a dot. That means it's raining. Cloud cover. How much of my circle is colored in? 75% is colored in, so I have 75% cloud cover. Visibility, 1/4 of a mile. Precipitation in the last 6 hours, 0.15 inches. You're going to have to practice drawing a station model. You will have to use paper and pencil and you will have to upload it tomorrow. So overcast skies, I'm going to draw a circle. Overcast means that it's 100%. So I color in that entire circle. Temperature is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. So I would put 78 in the upper left-hand corner. Dew point is 74 degrees Fahrenheit. So I would put 74 in the lower left-hand corner. Barometer 3 hours ago was 1003.6, but right now, which is what I want first, right now it is 1000.1 millibars. So remember, I drop that decimal point and report the last 3 numbers. So up here in the upper right, I would put 001. And it's falling. So here, I would look at these 2 numbers, 1003, 1000.1. Which one of those is bigger? 3 hours ago is bigger. That means it has fallen in the last 3 hours. So I would put a minus. How much has it fallen? Subtract 0.1 from this number, from 1003.6. Subtract 1000.1. You would get 3.5. So take that decimal point away and you would put 35 here. And it tells us that it's falling. So you would draw a backslash or start at the top on the left, go to the bottom on the right. Wind is north-northeast at 20 knots. So north is here, east is here, northeast is going to be about here. So you're going to draw a line that goes there. Sorry, hang on. At 20 knots. So I'm going to have 2 whole feathers coming off the line that goes this way. Visibility is 1/2 mile, so I would put a 1/2 mark here, or 1/2 here. And light rain, so I would put a dot. I know this is not the correct station model. I'm just showing you where things go. Same thing with this one. 50% cloudy skies. So I would draw a circle and color in 1/2 of it. Temperature goes in the upper left. Dew point goes in the lower left. Barometer currently goes in the upper right. Remember, I only report the last 3 digits. Is it higher or lower than it was 3 hours ago? Well, I look at this and I look at this. This is what it is now. This is what it was 3 hours ago. It's lower, so I'm going to put a minus. How much lower? I'm going to subtract this from this. And I'm going to put however many that is. Remember to take your decimal point out. It says it's rising, so I go from the bottom right or bottom left to the upper right. Wind is from the south, so the stick should go straight down at 35 knots. So I should have 3 long feathers and a short one. Visibility is going to be a 1/4 mile. Snow showers are falling, so I'm going to have an asterisk and I'm going to have that upside down triangle. Okay, if you have questions, I am on here. I'm going to go log into the Zoom right now. It's now 2:30. I'll be on a Zoom until 4 o'clock. And if you have questions, I can help you out. Thanks.
You know that when you're in there, you can use that drawing tool that's in the bottom left corner.